So I'm going to show you how to make a quick and easy wreath for your front door. I use an oasis ring and I've also been busy foraging. So I've got some yew. Yew does have really poisonous berries, so you've got to be careful of that. I've also got some ivy, and look how gorgeous this holly is. The berries at the moment are amazing. Luckily the pigeons haven't got there. I also have got some teasels which I found down by the river, and I'm going to spray these gold.
So I have popped my 12-inch oasis ring into a basin of water, and I'm just going to submerge it, make sure it's all soaked through. Then I leave it to soak and absorb the water for a while.
So I'm going to spray these teasels gold. So I've given this can a really good shake and then give them a good spray. I always do it in a cardboard box so I don't get spray paint all over the place. I might not use all of these, but it's good to have them at the ready in case I decide I need them. So I've got my oasis ring ready. This is a 12-inch ring and it's been soaking in water for quite a few hours. It's actually now quite heavy. The great thing about oasis is it takes on lots of water and then it keeps your greenery fresh and green for quite a long time. You can take it down from your door as well and give it a little bit of a water if it's getting close to Christmas and you think it's drying out. So I'm going to start with the yew around the edge. So I just cut little pieces, pull the bottom leaves off so I've got a bit of a stalk, and stick it in. I start at a little bit of an angle and I do this all the way around. So I just, and this is probably one of the most time-consuming bits. But it's important to start getting the shape right, and this just hides the plastic base as well. It's quite useful having a plastic base because it gives it a little bit more strength, and when you tie the ribbon around it and then hook it on the front door, it just makes it a little bit stronger. You can get oasis rings which aren't in plastic bases, which I tend to use on the table, but I use the plastic ones to hang up. So I've got my yew all the way around my wreath like that, and then I'm going to start building it up with the ivy. You can put all sorts of different things onto your wreath. You could use an orange. This has got a little bit of wire on it and you can stick that in. You could use these gorgeous little berries. But because the holly berries are so incredible at the moment, I'm just going to stick with holly for my wreath today. So I'm going to start with ivy and I'm just going to cut little bits and stick them in. Oasis, if you haven't used it before, is brilliant, but you do need to be quite sort of decisive on where you're placing things, because you don't want to take something out and put it in because you'll create a hole. And once you've got lots of holes, you can't then stick other things in if you create a big sort of holy mess in your circle. So I'm just going to put lots of ivy around here. These ones have got lovely berries on, but you can just use the plain leaves. But you can just have a good forage around. You can see what you've got in your garden and in hedgerows, and use really whatever takes your fancy. These have all come from my garden, and so I haven't had to travel very far to find them, which is pretty handy. And as you can see, I'm just working my way around the ring, and I just sort of build it up layer by layer until it's looking pretty full. And I think it's quite nice to cram lots in. You don't want to have gaps. So you can see I take any bottom leaves off that need to come off. And then you've got a little bit of a longer stem to poke in. I also think it's pretty important to get everything ready so you've got plenty to hand, because it's really annoying if you run out halfway through and you've got to go and have another gather of bits and pieces to put in your ring. Okay. So I've gone round now with ivy all the way around the ring, and now I'm going to start popping bits of holly in. I might need to go back and put more ivy in, but I've got a good full circle of it, and I'm just going to cut little bits of holly and start working those in, and that just gives such a lovely colour as well. These berries are so pretty. That's just, I might save that bit for somewhere else. Some of the leaves are a little bit tatty, so I just trim those off. So you want pretty ones as much as possible. That leaf's not very nice either, so I'll just snip him. Now this bit of holly is quite good because I can chop that bit and use the top part, and then I can also use the bottom part too. Red berries are placed. That in there. Cut those leaves off. So I always try and have a top. So that is my top part there, and that's where I'm going to put ribbon, and then I'm going to try and give it a little bit of symmetry as I go round. I'm trying to put that bit in there. It's me telling you to be decisive, but I'm going to pop that down in there. It didn't really sit very well, it was sticking out. Oh, that's a gorgeous bit. I'm going to pop that in over on this side. So it's really quite easy, and you've just got to be creative, be confident, and go for it. There are lots of different ways to do wreaths, but I find this pretty quick and pretty easy. Although a few of my top tips are always start in the morning, because if you run out of greenery, you don't want to be going foraging in the dark, and it's quite frustrating to have to wait until the next day. You just want to get it finished. So I always start in the morning, and I always make sure that I'm not in a hurry, because you don't want to be rushing to do it. So do it on a nice clear morning when you're not rushing to go somewhere else. And you just trim the bits down to the size that's manageable, and just keep working your way around. So I popped in all the holly berries, and I think they're relatively evenly spaced. I've got my gap at the top here, which is where I'm going to put the ribbon in. I'm going to fill in, there are a few gaps around here, so I'm going to fill in those with some ivy, because you just don't want to have any holes at all. Just pop that in there. I love the contrast of the red berries and the green. I just think it's really simple, but it looks really pretty. And it's so nice that these are all from the garden, from the local hedgerows. So I should just working my way around, filling in those gaps. So I'm pretty pleased with how this is looking. I am just going to add a few bits. So I have got some pussy willow here, and I'm just going to cut pieces off and stick them in around the edge. It just adds a little bit to it. So again, I go in at the angle and just going to poke these around. It's a really good piece. And again, if you're careful how you cut it, you can get lots of bits out of one length. I love the texture the pussy willow has. So pretty and delicate. Out. So now I'm going to pop my ribbon on. So I'm going for a gold ribbon. So I'm going to cut a nice, good long length. I can always trim it down. I always cut ribbon at an angle like that. And then I'm going to thread that underneath the ring and thread up. I'm going to level those out, and then I'm just going to tie it in a knot to start with. Just going in between that greenery there. I tried to leave a bit of a gap. Quite tight, so I'm just going to tie a simple knot in there. Trying not to get any leaves caught in the middle. It's quite tight, and then I'm going to add another piece of ribbon through the middle. And again, you can trim it down and tidy up the ends once you're happy with it. So I'm going to thread this part of the ribbon underneath that bit that I've just tied in a knot, like that. I'm going to put that end down there, and then I'm going to tie a nice bow in here. So again, another knot, and then make a loop from the right side, go round the loop, which I'm going to pop that way. I'm going to go make a loop on the left, go over it, and then up through the middle, and then you get both your ends, these parts, loops up at the top. So I've got my ribbon in place, and I'm now going to put my teasels that I've sprayed gold in. So I'm going to pop this one down here and find a little gap for it. I'm going to pop it in there. They're a little bit spiky, so you've got to be careful. I'm just going to chop the end off that one, and I'm going to put one here and one on that side over there. So perfect little spot for him. Just push them in firmly. And pull that off. There. And so I'm going to pop in. Find a place without leaves to push it into the oasis. So there we are, my wreath done. I think it's pretty beautiful, and everything is locally sourced from the hedgerows or from the garden. Well, apart from the ribbon, of course.